Let the words of my mouth, the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer.
Amen.
As soon as we grilled the hot dogs, they were gone. We couldn't grill them fast enough. All of our guests ate at least 2 and then stashed the remainder in their pockets to save for later. 15 years ago, I founded an English-speaking church in Klaipėda, Lithuania, for expats. And one of the ministries we served at the time was to the dump people. There were people in Klaipėda who, for a variety of reasons, actually lived in the city dump. They fed themselves with scrap food. They built houses with scrap wood, fabric, sandbags, and whatever they could find. This in a country where winter temperatures could drop to minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of them were either alcoholics, the mentally ill, older people who were alone, and others who had been provided for under the Soviet system, but who had fallen through the cracks of the new democratic capitalistic system. By 2005, some of them had ended up homeless and living in the dump. There was a whole dump culture whereby the land was divided up between the various individuals, and then boundaries were set amongst themselves. And so when a truck dumped trash in your designated area, the contents were yours. Woe to those who picked over someone else's trash. Our church worked with the residents of the dump to document them and help get them social services. One fall evening, we visited the residents there as a congregation. We brought them a meal, the aforementioned hot dogs, and then sang songs and hymns. Some church members were accomplished singers, and the music was lovely. The residents of the dump didn't understand the words, but it didn't bother them. They clapped enthusiastically after each song. While they were very happy about the food, they seemed especially happy about the music. As one female resident said with tears in her eyes, that if she had to choose between music and food, she would choose music, because in the dump, there was no beauty or love. That stopped me up short, and over the years I've repeatedly considered what wise words they are. The importance not only of food and shelter for our physical bodies, but the importance of beauty and love in caring for our souls. Because the truth is, all human beings are a blend of the physical and transcendent realms. We are all both body and soul, and both parts of ourselves must be tended. They are both necessary for wholeness. Doesn't matter what religion you are or no religion, you have a soul. It's part of being human. In our epistle reading, Paul writes, even though our outer nature is wasting away, our inner nature is being renewed day by day, because we look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. Paul is making a distinction between our outer nature and our inner nature, our body and our soul, what can be seen and what cannot be seen. He's saying that our body, our outer nature, is transient. It is wasting away. It is not permanent. But our soul, our inner nature, which cannot be seen, is constantly being renewed. It's growing. It is eternal. And we need to feed it. And it is beauty and love, manifestations of God, which nurture our souls, expanding them, allowing them to flourish. In the words of the mystic Thomas Merton, music and art and poetry attune the soul to God. And of course, we all know God is love. Remove beauty and love, and our souls begin to wither. And these past 16 months have been ugly on all kinds of levels. Fear and anger and isolation and death. There's been lots of suffering. It's been tough. There's also been a lot of appropriate focus on our bodily needs. The need for health, food, shelter, education, and safety for many have been at risk. Ensuring that we could simply make it through COVID alive was paramount. In fact, the year was so bad, there were a whole set of popular memes out there on social media. You probably have seen a number of them. For instance, one of them said, if 2020 were a movie review, 1 star, quote, very bad, would not recommend. Another depicts a cartoon where a man meets a monster and asks, "Who are you?" The monster answers, "I'm the worst month of 2020. The man replies, "Do you have the slightest idea how little that narrows it down?" And if 2020 were a drink, what would it be? Colonoscopy prep. The point is, people are in agreement that these past 16 months have been hard. And part of these challenges caused us appropriately to focus on care of our physical nature, sometimes at the expense of our spiritual nature. We sometimes lost sight of beauty and love. So now, after 16 months, our souls are hungry. At the same time, there were stunning moments of beauty and love this past year, despite COVID. Examples of this include people gathered on their balconies to bang pots and pans in support of medical personnel who are risking their lives to keep us safe. Or people gathered on balconies to play musical instruments together. Or tech-savvy people who took time to coach older adults on the use of Zoom so they could stay in touch with family, friends, or houses of worship. Or choral groups recording themselves individually so they could be blended together, creating a unified song. Or buying groceries for those with underlying health issues who couldn't leave their homes. These and millions of others of expressions of love and beauty brought tears to our eyes and reminded us that we are more than our mortal bodies. Like the woman at the dump who looked out over the wasteland of her abode and yet found her soul fed by the beauty and love of music. So too, we could look out over the darkness of this past year and revive our souls by the beauty and love of actions around us. So now, as we begin to emerge from isolation, it's important to be more intentional about soul care and ask ourselves, how am I caring for my inner nature? How am I nurturing my soul? In addition to worship and Emmanuel, which is part of that, how are you finding time every day for beauty, love, and God? What makes your soul sing with joy? And then do that. All humans are a blend of the physical and the transcendent realms. We are both body and soul, and both parts of ourselves need to be tended. They are both necessary for wholeness. Acknowledge that you have a soul and take care of it. May you find the balance that ensures you thrive.